Welcome back to One Piece Anime Review, episode number 131. This one reviewing the 919th episode of the anime, Rampage, The Prisoners, Luffy, and Kid. And the 969th chapter of the manga, Fool of a Lord. Yes, this one adapts pages 9 through 17, and this is a first for this particular review series. I actually brought to look up and see what the changes were. Yes. Now, this episode roughly adapted 8 pages. Yes, 8 pages of a 17 chapter of 17 pages. Last week was like the first 6 pages. Actually, it was the first 7 pages this one last week. This week is just basically 8. Now, the opening sequence, the first thing you see is the showing off that it's Act 2 of Wano, with the same thing they did when they first showed Wano for the first time in the series. And then the first scene you see is Nami and Subaru picking up with their point of the last week's episode left off, and them running away from a bunch of sharp spears, which are curved. Now, this is actually an extended sequence from the manga, where in the manga, this was 2 pages, the run away from this particular place. Yeah, it was roughly 2 pages, and yet in the anime, it's roughly about 3 to 4 minutes. It's great. I love it. And then we see, okay, they get away, and then they use something and they pull out a scroll. I'm like, what? Is Oda ripping off Naruto? Well, there kind of is a reason for this, why he's able to. This is my personal guess of why he's able to get away with basically references to Naruto. Because he and Kishimoto are actually very good friends. So my guess is Kishimoto has no problem with him basically making references or borrowing some stuff from Naruto. Heck, fun fact, the guy Renzo, the ninja that the Straw Hats found on Terror Island, he's voiced by Mike Guy's sub-actor. Yes. Though I highly doubt his English dub actor would voice the same character. I highly doubt it because he works with Viz Media, and Viz Media and Funimation are basically competing dub companies. Yep, and they jump off, and it looks like though that Subaru pulled a kite out of a scroll. Yeah, obvious ripoff, obviously a reference to Naruto, and they fly away, and they fly over a zigzag crowd. This is from last week's episode where Sanji is basically serving out food. Now, unlike in the manga, they actually added a sequence here where they actually show him actually making the noodles that he was serving here. And there's a slight wording change here where Nami, in the manga, says, that's no samurai recruiting. She just says, that's no samurai. And then with the rest of the episode is of the prison itself. Mostly the prison sequence, which takes up a good chunk of this episode, is mostly the same with the exception of a couple sequences. Actually, here's kind of the weird thing. They actually added, they made one sequence longer, and they actually added more stuff to this particular scene. You see Captain Kidd and Luffy running with these gigantic stones onto the ship. They actually do not have the ship in the manga. That was actually added to the anime itself. I love the anime's additions to it, which I'm sure Oda himself probably says, yeah, go ahead, add that stuff if you want to, because I didn't have time to do this in the manga, because I had to do this on a weekly freaking basis. Yeah, so it's perfectly fine. And they sort of argue with the crew, and it seems as though that Luffy and Captain Kidd are kind of in the way the bosses of the prison, even though that there's actual warden. Yeah, speak of now, Queen himself, who was the actual warden of this prison, he does not appear in this episode. It's his vice warden, who's a hippo. He is Smile Fruit. Okay. And they kind of slightly change his word dialogue here. They introduce him as he's basically seeing that he goes to the food storage and he sees only 3 dumplings left, which he's not very happy with. So he goes to the guard and says, who ate all this freaking food? And he says, we had perpetrators behind bars. And then of course, we also see that Luffy and Kid, basically, after they get their share of, a bunch of stones, they got, a whole bunch of these special tickets. Because in exchange for not punishing them, they get good food. They work hard and get good food. Simple as that. and get proper treatment. Yeah, it's like they're getting special privileges in a way. So like, they come out and they're like really like overweight. Now they actually added a sequence here where you actually sort of slim down. They sort of breathe in, and then they breathe out. Basically, it's like, and Luffy says, "Give us give us a minute to digest," and they slim down really quickly. Which is sequence it's just basically like, oh, they're quick, and then like, oh yeah, and here's something interesting though. Luffy refers to Captain Kid as Jaggy. Yeah, I have no idea why he does that for in the manga. I don't think he ever does. Let me look it up on here. Let's see. I don't think he ever refers to him as Jaggy. I mean, his name is Captain Kid, and yet he refers to him as frickin' Jaggy. Let's see. Actually does refer to him as Jaggy. And he also refers to Luffy as a monkey. Yeah, which that's technically his first name, Monkey D. Luffy. My only guess is the reason why he calls him Jaggy because of the fact he can control metal. That's my only personal guess. Also, he doesn't have his arm that he got. Yeah, apparently during the time skip, he actually lost part of his arm. What the heck happened there? Oda has never explained what the heck happened to his arm. Yeah, it's never been explained. Oh yeah, in case you're wondering how did he get captured by Kaido, that happened like not long after the time skip when he and Basil Hawkins tried to form an alliance to take down Red Hair Shanks, and then all of a sudden Kaido shows like completely out of nowhere. Yep, and well, they bring him out to the warden and says, "If you beat us up, you get punished." So he said, and Luffy kind of in a way has Captain Kid is sort of like his support, like, don't hold on, Jaggy. And then this one get swallowed up by the hippo, and then they proceed to beat the living crap out of the warden. They actually make the sequence a little bit longer here, where they actually had the hippo up in the air and then splat right down. And the guard's like, "You gonna punish this? You gonna punish this?" And of course Luffy, the reason why he did this is because he saw the old man who has been popped up the past couple episodes. It looked like he got knocked down. He got hit with a club, and Luffy didn't like seeing that. He just likes seeing innocent people get wounded, so at least get hurt. And Captain Kid tells the guard, tells him, you're gonna get punished. Like, what proof do you have? Yeah, it's like saying, do you have any evidence to prove that we actually beat them up? Because one thing, no witnesses. They beat up inside of his mouth, so yeah, they got off scot-free. And then, everyone's cheering that he's the hero, that Captain Kid and Luffy are basically, the heroes of prison because be with the evil Vice Warden. But this overall was a really fantastic episode. I like the fact they actually added some stuff here. Yeah, the additions were absolutely fantastic. Alright, now, for the newest chapter in the manga, Fool of a Lord. First, you have the cover story from Gang Benja's Oh My Family. Geta versus the Navy, where he got the crap beat out of him by a Navy officer. Chapter starts off in the past, where Oden tries to take down the Shogun. And Shogun gets blasted. Don't worry, he's still there. He's still despised. We see a priest there. There's a barrier. Yeah, his ability looks very similar to that of, the way he does his hands, the way he does it, the barrier arts. Yeah, this is simply the move. This is simply the devil fruit that, what's his name? Oh yes, Bartholomew has, the captain of the Barter Club. He has the same ability. Does this kind of mean that basically this ability came from Wano, it was reborn someplace else, and could be this guy basically has it? I have no idea. The other barrier's like, haha, you can't touch me, you can't kill me. Yeah, and he said, and basically, everyone's like, kick him out of there. I hear that my father pushed to be the Shogun's proxy until I come back. So give a shoguncy to me right now. I had no intention to be the man in charge, but I know you can. I know I can do better for you for this country. There's a twist. That statement did not actually contain the shogun's authority. And then we see Odin's father. Ah, good to see you back, Odin father. What? You're alive? All the daimyos and all fools believe the person disguise power of the clone fruit. Yes, all lies. The entire country believed it. They arranged for me to take the shogun's throne. In other words, I'm on no obligation to cede control to you. At this point, what did you do with my father? Did he actually have an illness? Yeah, well, everyone's like cheering for him. We see like a person get bandaged up and get healed up by a beautiful woman. And then Odin starts dancing in the streets with a loincloth. Everyone's like laughing at it and being a fool. Yeah, and he's asked by like, I dance in the buff every week, receive money, that's my job. So why'd you do this? It's a fool of a lord. Then he goes out to sea and thinks that basically his time with Gold Roger. Gold Roger probably been captured by the Navy, probably been executed at this point. And then apparently at some point that yeah, they basically have a time skip here where it's like 2 years, second year after Odin's return, and he jokes basically like, "Do you want a divorce? Is that a joke? Or are you trying to make me mad?" Yeah, don't try to divorce the smoking hot woman who happened to be your wife, Odin. Yeah, he never does. Yep. We see like various other people talking, and then the evil shogun comes up, and he asks like, "What are the ships you know?" With Kaido, what do you mean? Wano will be weapons producer. So I gave him to Kaido. He's probably dead for long. Yep. So the old woman basically was a mobster's wife. Yep. And basically people who died. And it was like, time to strike Odin down. Like, we were waiting to hear this all those years. Yeah, apparently, yeah, they kind of had a sort of a time scale. It was like 4 years. And then everybody started basically settling out for war. And they referred them as the Azuku 9. And it looks like they're preparing to possibly take down the Shogun. Yeah, quite an interesting little chapter. I like it. Though not much is revealed in this chapter, aside from the fact that Odin kind of figures out basically what some of the readers probably the series probably knew about, the fact that Orochi basically has been lying about him all this time, and never actually confirms if his father actually died. Yeah, that by far was never confirmed in this chapter. It's kind of like, okay. And then, despite the fact being a daimyo, he is forced to dance in a loincloth in the streets if he get paid money for it. Yeah. And I'm thinking, though, like, why doesn't the people of the country want to rise up against their terrible shogun? Because he has the backing of Kaido. That's the only reason why. Kaido was mentioned a couple times in this chapter, but Kaido does not make a physical appearance in this chapter, which I'm thinking that's quite strange. You mentioned Kaido, but he doesn't have a physical appearance. Not even his men appear in this chapter. But yeah, from the way it looks to the next chapter, way in this chapter, yeah, we're getting to the beginning of the end of the Odin story. I would say so because, well, I remember from one of the flashbacks they show for the series for Odin that he tried to rise up against Orochi and he lost. Who knows? They might go there probably next chapter. This whole thing could wrap up by the very next chapter. Who knows? This could probably go on for another couple of chapters if Oda probably wanted to, but my personal guess is that after the next chapter comes out, he's probably going to take a week off. It's possible. Okay? So yeah. Give this chapter roughly a... I'm going to give it like 8.5 out of 10. It's a bit step down from the last chapter because this chapter is very talky heavy. Like, oh my gosh, there's so much dialogue for this chapter. At least it's not like with Hunter x Hunter when they released like the last 10 chapters they ever released for the series, and like it felt like though you're reading freaking paragraphs when you're reading Hunter x Hunter. But by the way, I should let y'all know, it's been like a year and 2 months since the last chapter came out for Hunter x Hunter. When the heck next chapter coming out for the series, I have no idea. It's odd to say the least. Okay, so yeah, that's it for this particular review. I have roughly a couple more reviews hope to do today. We'll be reviewing the newest episode of Boruto and the review for Rama Half. Hopefully, okay. Produce the next few. Bye.